Hi guys, it's Tamara. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to heal from a toxic family, and boy do I have some tips for you. I have both personal and professional experience with difficult and toxic families, and so I think this video may be a nice addition to the previous two videos I did on having sociopathic and unhealthy parents. So I'm hoping that this video will be helpful and a nice addition to the previous two. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For all of you who are subscribed, thank you so much. I truly do appreciate your subscription. I appreciate your participation, your sharing, your knowledge. I appreciate you being on the channel. So I just want to extend my gratitude and let you know that I don't just see you as a number. I like every last one of you who comment and participate, and those of you who are here to support the channel and also share and, share your own personal experiences and even share the videos outside of just you, right? I'm sure you share them with your friends and your family. So thank you so much for doing that. It really does build the channel and it makes it what it is. So thank you. Couldn't do it by myself. The benefits for you in today's video is that I'm going to highlight a couple of ways that you can begin the healing process from unhealthy and toxic family members. I absolutely love my family. I've always been very family oriented. I've always been very focused on, bonding with family, connecting with family, really appreciating our individuality and our creativity and our similar talents and, just kind of just the culture of who we are. And I come from two different cultures. So on my dad's side, we have a variety of cultures and races on that side. And then on my mom's side, we have two different cultures, African American and Native American. And then on my dad's side, of course, we have some German, African American, Caucasian. And then further down in my family, we get into like Scandinavia. So like it gets really cool and interesting. But the two cultures that I tend to really cling to, and it really paints my identity, would be my African American and my Native American side. So I grew up with those two in the forefront of my development. And so I find our family history, our culture wonderful, right? It's something to be proud of. It's who you are. It's all of your personalities and your skills and your talents and your intelligence and your mannerisms. It all makes you who you are. And that's a beautiful thing. Unfortunately, within families, there's dynamics, there's personalities, there's mental illnesses, there's socioeconomic statuses, there's different class levels, expectations, obligations, right? So it gets really complicated. It comes from the place of we're similar, we're family, we're connected. It comes from that and goes to a place of, wait a minute, we're not so similar after all. And I have some extended family members where I'm like, I don't know how you're kin to me. Like, I don't get why you're acting like that, thinking like that, behaving like that, perceiving like that. Like, who are you? And as a therapist, I feel like that could be liberating to my clients and to you to just hear me say that I really do question, how are we kin? I'm sure you go through that in your own family. And I'm sure there's some embarrassing family members where you're just like, you're toxic and I got to get away from you. Now, in more serious situations and circumstances, you're most likely to run into family members who are insane or mentally unstable at a severe level, right? For lack of a better word, for lack of a better clinical term, you're likely to run into family members who engage in criminal activities that could put your life in danger, right? You're likely to run into narcissists and sociopaths who jeopardize your safety, your intelligence, and your peaceful lifestyle. So, you come from the place of, who are you? I don't want you in my life. Like, we don't have the same expectations and mindset. We come from that and we go to, but now you're dangerous. Now you're a threat to me. And that is where I begin to tell families, you need to distance. You need to find some tools and some ways to deal with these particular families. The first thing that I suggest that families do, or you do as an individual, when you know that your family member is a huge threat to your existence, right? To your intelligence, to your emotional and psychological health, to your abilities, to your peaceful lifestyle, to your dignity and self-respect. When you start seeing that they are a threat to that, the first thing that I suggest you do is distance. There's no other way to put it. Distance, right? Let them go. They are not worth your dignity, your self-respect, your calm lifestyle, your level of expectations and goals and aspirations in your life, they are not worth that. Okay, family, yes, you've heard the sayings, blood is thicker than water, and family is everything. I disagree with that, because I think that you can be extraordinarily close and have no blood in common. I think that you can be extraordinarily healthy psychologically and emotionally and have no connection to your family whatsoever. So I think family and the term family is a little overrated. Okay, so I think that more therapists need to be open about that. Family is beautiful, but therapists also need to be aware and be willing to share with their clients that, okay, it's not everything. It's beautiful when it happens. It's wonderful if it lasts, but it's not everything. And so the minute you see your family is out to get you, or somebody in your family is very, very unhealthy for you, you need to distance yourself. After trying and trying and trying and trying, there needs to come a point where you say, you know what, this is where I draw the line. We're done here. I've seen your behavior way too many times, and you are now threatening my safety, my life, my livelihood, and I cannot allow that. So when you start seeing yourself be impacted, distance. And what I mean by distance could be don't answer their phone calls, don't answer their emails or text messages. Or if you do decide to answer, put some distance between how you respond and when you respond. Be very specific and strategic in how you respond and when you respond to them, right? Maybe you're just a holiday family member. Maybe you're just a once in a 12-year time family member, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be so bonded to them that you guys are just so close and lovey-dovey. It doesn't have to really be like that, all right? The next thing that I suggest is maintain your dignity and your self-respect. Your dignity and your self-respect. Your dignity and your self-respect says this: I'm only going to allow you to pull me out so far before I say we're done. Okay? Putting that boundary in place really does scream, I respect myself, and I'm not going to allow you to treat me this way. Allowing you to treat me this way is allowing you to abuse me. It's allowing you to harm me. It's allowing you to reduce me. It's allowing you to be arrogant and to be very, very high-minded above me. And that is not okay. We're supposed to be here as family. So if we can't do that, then you're getting out of my life. And so that's the way that you need to think about that, right? So you need to maintain your dignity. You need to maintain your respect. Okay, that's hard, but you need to do it. It's powerful when you finally figure out how to do that. The next is stop listening to outsiders. I think there's a lot of outsiders, friends, coworkers, strangers, TV shows, music, radio shows, podcasts, right? Interviews, where you can hear the same thing over and over, which is don't abandon your family, stay close to your family, blood is thicker than water, right? Like, you're going to hear those things. Give them a second chance. Everybody makes a mistake. Was it really that bad? Oh, it happened 2 times. Like, give them a chance. Those kind of things will get you stuck. When you realize that something is wrong and you feel it and you intuitively sense it, get out. Don't allow other people and outsiders to pull you in and muddy the waters. I think that's a motorcycle. This happens every video, guys. I'm sorry, I'm distracted very easily, and motorcycles tend to come into my videos so often, and I don't know how that happens. Side note, LOL. So what you want to do is make sure that you know how to draw that line, right? And keep those outsiders out. They are not worth it. They don't have to deal with the pain that you do. So it's easy for them to chat, right? They don't have to deal with what you have to deal with. That's the difference, okay? The next thing is move on and walk away from shame and guilt. Move on and walk away from shame and guilt. And what I mean by that is, I think we can feel quite shamed when we have a moment where we're having friction with a family member, or when we're feeling argumentative, or we're feeling confrontational or angry. And sometimes we may even feel like we are resentful of that person, like we absolutely just don't like them. And sometimes you may even feel like you hate them, right? And I think sometimes that can bring on shame, and you begin to second guess your own qualities and your own morals and your own values. And you begin to say, how can I feel like that? The minute you start doing that, you want to stop yourself And you want to do what we call cognitive restructuring. And if you can do that by yourself, great. Sometimes it's best if you do that with a therapist, somebody who's objective and can really help you understand it, and somebody who's trained. But, you can do cognitive restructuring on your own, and you can weigh the pros and the cons of the situation. You can also look at it from various perspectives, at least attempt to, and then you can weigh your reaction to it. And then you can educate yourself and try to figure out, is my reaction disproportionate or proportionate to the trigger? Okay, so I think that, kind of trying to restructure your thinking and working with it and looking at it from various perspectives can be really, really helpful. All right, so I encourage you to do that. Walk away and move on from shame. And then guilt, right? You can feel guilty if you're putting a barrier in between yourself and somebody else, especially a family member. You can really start to feel guilty. So I encourage you to try to put that boundary there. And once you do, I think you're going to feel a lot better about yourself, your life, your decisions, right? So put that barrier in place. Do not allow yourself to feel guilty. All right. The next thing is bring the law into it as needed, right? There are some times where you may have to tell those family members, I'm going to have to get the law involved if you don't stop harassing me, right? I'm going to have my attorney do this to you. I'm going to have to file some charges for harassment. I'm going to have to block your phone number. I'm going to have to go to the police about all of this, right? So there may be times where you have those really, really bad family members where you're going to have to put up the boundary that's a legal boundary. And I know we never want to do that. I certainly never want to do that. But if we have to, and it is wise and it is healthy, then I think that is something that we need to do. All right. Sometimes you have to show family members, I'm not to be played with. I might be nice. I may be loving. I may be blood, but I am not stupid and I'm not going to be played with. And sometimes you have to give them that view of you, right? Because they only know one side of you. And sometimes with very foolish and unwise family members, they take for granted that you think a different way because they've known you all your life, right? They've known you as a child. They've known you during certain parts of your life. And maybe in your situation, maybe you were vulnerable with them at one time, or maybe you really needed them and you relied on them. Whatever the case, family members who misperceive you and who kind of prejudge you based on knowing you in the past, those kind of family members really need to be checked, for lack of a better word. They really need to be told, this is not the same ball game. Everybody changes and everybody grows up. Get to know me, who I am right now, right? So sometimes you need to do that, and bringing the law into the situation is the best way to do it, okay? The next is educate yourself. The more you educate yourself about narcissists and sociopaths and who you are and who you aren't, and family trauma and intergenerational trauma, the more you educate yourself, the better, because what you're doing is you're preparing yourself for battle, right? The more you learn, the stronger you get. The more you learn, the more resilient you become. And so I tell my clients that all the time. The more you know, the more of a stronger individual you become, psychologically, emotionally, and educationally. So why not do it, right? The next thing is avoid. And here's what I encourage when I talk about avoidance with my clients. I encourage 3 types of avoidance. One is emotional avoidance, okay, or emotional disengagement. 2 is cognitive avoidance or cognitive disengagement. And 3 is behavioral avoidance or behavioral disengagement. So let me explain. Emotional disengagement or avoidance says this: I'm not going to engage with you emotionally. You are not going to emotionally extort me. Neither are you going to emotionally gaslight me, stonewall me, make me feel like I'm not intelligent, like I don't have a firm ground to stand on. You're not going to reduce me emotionally. So I'm going to disengage, and I'm not going to give you the foundation, the platform to beat up on me emotionally. So you disengage, right? You disengage emotionally. You don't allow them to bring you into fights and arguments and confrontations and emotional battles and wars of jealousy and envy and competition, right? You cut that all off completely. So you emotionally disengage and you emotionally avoid them. The next is cognitive disengagement. And what I mean by that is you totally disengage all of your rationality and your intellectualization of the situation. Sometimes sometimes you can't rationalize a situation. It just doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. So the best thing to do for you, I think, and it has been for me in the past, is to stop rationalizing, stop intellectualizing, and stop trying to make sense out of something that just simply doesn't make sense, right? So the best way to deal with a family member who's unhealthy or toxic or threatening is to cognitively disengage. Stop allowing your mental energy and mental juices to be wasted on that other individual. It's not worth it. Now, to behaviorally disengage means you're not going to fight and argue with them. You're not going to have arguments with them over the phone. You're not going to send emails back and forth to them fighting all day, every day. You're not going to continue to go over to their house, and visit them, or, you're not going to, sometimes even body language is important. Sometimes you don't even need to stand within a certain feet of them, right? You don't need to hug them. You don't need to shake their hand. Like, you really need to put up the barrier, and it sends a message. It feels cold for some of us to be that way, but sometimes family members push you to the brinks of insanity because of their behavior, and so then you have to engage in that way. And last but not least, and this is what I suggest to all of my clients, is to learn to be okay with and accept loneliness and aloneness. We're ultimately alone in this world. We can bring along people with us. We can bring along people to help us, but it's not quite, it's not going to always be that way, right? People can leave, they can die, they can walk away, we can have disagreements, sharp disagreements where we don't get along. So learn to be comfortable with you. Learn to be okay with aloneness and loneliness, because if you're going to exchange your sanity for somebody who's insane or unhealthy, you really need to ask yourself, what's wrong with this picture? How do I get stronger? How do I be better? How do I work on myself? How do I improve my ability to be alone so that when I have to be alone, I can be alone? So again, learn to be okay with being alone and to be lonely, and learn to fill your life with things that won't easily leave you, right? People can easily go. So you want to fill your life with things that you can rely on, things that stay forever. And you want to learn to be comfortable with you. I learned that a long time ago, like years ago. I'm in my 30s now, that I need to be okay with being alone. And little by little, I was okay with that. I've always been an introvert, believe it or not. I'm an introvert. I needed to learn, though, over time what being alone really meant, and being okay with that, and being able to see other people engaging with other people and be okay with that, right? You can get married, you can have children, you can be involved, you can party, you can go to this person's house, you can go to that, you can go to that event, and I'm still going to be okay with that. Like, it's not going to matter how active you are in your world. It's not going to make me feel like I'm alone. So being able to work on that is strength. Okay, that's an important tool. So I hope these were helpful for you. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, what your experiences have been, and if any one of these particular tools or ways of thinking, I should say, might be helpful to you. I appreciate your feedback. That helps a lot with the continuation of videos that you actually want to hear, because I want to make sure that I'm catering to you. I do a lot of research behind the scenes, and I take my own experiences and my professional experiences and my research, and I consult and so forth, and I make sure that I bring it all together for you on this channel. So every time you comment, you give me direction. So thank you for that. If you want to stick around for more videos, guys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and please hit that thumbs up button. That really helps the stats and the statistics of the channel, and it makes it available to other people. So thank you so much for that in advance. I will see you guys in the next video. I'm going to talk about neuroticism just a little bit, and remember this, and I want to be able to remind you of this every so often, that everything we talk about on this channel is trauma based. So just know that the foundation of everything that I talk about is trauma based. So these are all trauma based ways to deal with your relationships. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.